Let's talk Tanya for the 21st of Elul. In yesterday's Tanya, we discussed the emotions of the godly soul. And today we're going to turn to the source, the root of those emotions, which is the Chabad, the intellect. Because when we are aware of something, which is Chachma, we mentally process it, which is Bina. Ultimately, that's what leads us to emotions. And when we mentally process something, depending on how we channel it, we'll arrive either at Ava or at Yira, either at love or at a reverence. Since we're talking here about the godly soul, so we're talking about a person who's contemplating and processing their understanding of the greatness of God. So that can lead one to have a love for God. Wow, God is so amazing and so great. I want to connect to him. That's a feeling of love. Or it can lead to a feeling of Yira, of reverence. Wow, God is so amazing and awesome and great. That makes me feel small, and that makes me feel a reverence and respect for God. However, the key to getting us from intellect to emotions is Daas. This is something we've discussed on different occasions. Daas is the idea of connection and personalizing. Interestingly, over here, in this little section of Tanya, today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe introduces an idea which is the only place in Tanya which the Alter Rebbe discusses it, which is that really there are two different levels of Daas, known as Daas Elyon and Daas Tachton, the higher level of Daas and the lower level of Daas. Now, both of these are Daas, so therefore by definition they're both about connection. The question is, connecting what to what? So if you're to imagine Chachma, Bina, and Daas as a triangle, so Chachma and Bina are the right and the left points of this triangle, and Daas is the middle point, and it connects between the two of them. But the question is Daas, is that middle point beneath Chachma and Bina? Or is that connection above, or is that point above Chachma and Bina? The one above is called Daas Elyon, the higher level of Daas. The one below is called Daas Tachton, the lower level of Daas. The Daas that we usually speak about connection is the lower level of Daas, which means I'm aware of something, I've mentally processed it, but now I need to connect it to my midas, my emotions. Now my emotions are lower than my intellect, so that is Daas Tachton, that is the lower level of Daas, internalizing and really connecting to that which I processed in order to be able to create emotions from that. But there is also a higher level of Daas, which is above Chachma and Bina, and the function of that is to connect Chachma and Bina. Not connecting Chachma and Bina to the emotions, which is the lower level of Daas, but here we need to connect Chachma and Bina. And why is that? Because again, Chachma is awareness. And I can become aware of something, whether from external stimuli, or I can become aware of something from someplace deeper inside me. I can become aware of some sort of deeper desire or some sort of deeper ideal that I have. But I could lose sight of it. I don't have to process it. I don't have to dwell upon it. What causes me to connect the Chachma and the Bina? That when I have that awareness, I take it and I mentally process it. That also is a function of Daas, but that's a higher level of Daas. So we have the higher level of Daas, which allows me to connect mentally to something that I'm aware of, the lower level of Daas, which allows me to connect emotionally to something that I have processed. With this, we've concluded our understanding of the attributes of our animal soul, now our attributes of our godly soul. As we explained, all of this is only a mashal, a parable, to be able to understand the attributes of God in the world of Atzilus, and much of Chassidus is based upon this chapter in Igeres HaKodesh, and then using the foundational ideas over here to gain deeper and deeper and broader understandings of God's attributes. And with this, we've concluded this chapter. Tomorrow we start a new chapter on the topic of charity.